This is lot number 10. Pardon me? 470,000.
And I thought I had a chance. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Yeah, I woke up early thinking I had a shot at this guitar today, and no, absolute crazy prices were paid at the Mark Knopfler auction, but that's just fantastic. Let's cover some of these highlights now that we know the sold prices. Now please keep in mind all the prices we're talking about today include the buyer's premium. Starting with that guitar, it was lot number 10. This was the one used in the music video and the recording for Money for Nothing and the Brother in Arms album. But most importantly, it was a part of Gibson's early prehistoric reissue history. Although now that we've seen photos of it, it's not exactly what people thought before, but it was estimated to bring between 10 and 15,000 pounds. And my goodness, the bidding on this was insane. 592,000. That's the equivalent of 750,000 United States dollars. That's two real 1959 Les Paul bursts. And here I thought my $20,000 bid was gonna get me close. Needless to say, everything in this auction went crazy. And I think it's because it had a 25% charity donation to it, as well as the legacy of Mark Knopfler. But how did we do on the second prehistoric that I wanted that had his birth date as the serial number? This one didn't fetch anywhere near as much, at a little over 140,000 US. Pretty much everything in this auction saw very similar bids, regardless of it being a piece of Gibson and or other brands' history or not. But of course, everybody's curious about the bursts. This one went for almost 700,000 pounds. That's just shy of 900,000 US. So that's at least double market rate, but what a beauty that one was with a cool history. But what really just knocked my socks off are the reissues. So this one's just a regular 2001 historic reissue of a 59 that they used to help mimic his signature neck profile for Gibson, which is kind of cool, but look at that price tag. That's about 145,000 US. But for me, I think the one that went for the craziest money, in my opinion, is this 2003 reissue at about 206,000 US. Because this was another one I was watching, like, in hopes that maybe it doesn't go too crazy because it's a little bit far out there. But that's because I didn't necessarily read the history on this one, being a Music Machine Stinger guitar. But one thing that rang out true here is it doesn't matter any of its historical significance or collectability, it's all Mark. And the fact that this was a 25% charity auction. But this one was used in a promotional shoot in 2012. It was used with Bob Dylan on stage. But even if you look over here, that Les Paul signature that I was just kind of curious about, still brought 44,000 pounds. And his Dove over here, over 100,000. But we already covered many of those in my first episode that you can check out here, but we didn't necessarily talk about his Schecters and other brand guitars. So Mark used a lot of these early Schecter guitars. This is the Walk of Life telly that was made in 1983. It brought just over $525,000. But that's another special music video used on tour a lot type of instrument. There was a second Schecter telly that got up to $350,000 US. His custom-made Ovations brought good money too, nearly $160,000 for this lot. But he had a pretty cool Fender 12-string on here that went for just shy of $80,000. He had a lot of arch tops in his collection. Most of these saw around 80,000 USD just in an open auction, although this 53 Super 400 definitely saw a little bit more. That one's looking pretty cool with the pick guard and the dual Alnico 5 staple pickups. But it seems the last two sold for just a little bit less. And oh hey, look at this, a Witowski custom 3/4 size Stratocaster, going for about 38,000 US. Apparently he used this on his promotional tour for the release of his second solo album, Sailing to Philadelphia, in the 2000s. And it was during the after party of a concert when Witowski presented this to him. Who knew you could look so cool rocking something so small? That's a pretty cool gift if he kept it for that long, and there's a certain novelty to that. I'm sure he's been gifted tons of guitars over his career. In his video, he was saying he never wanted to be a collector, but they just happened to amass due to situations like that. But this Jaguar is pretty cool, going for about 94,000 US, in one of the better custom finishes, surf green. Even still has the string mute on it and a little bit of discoloration in the armresting area. But what is that? I've never seen that before. Must be some sort of a device to cut down on the pling 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 sound. Doesn't seem to be in too bad a shape either. But when lot number 1 brought this much money, that's when I knew the game was over for me for everything else. The Rudy Pensa guitars were pretty sweet as well. He used those a lot. This purple one brought $350,000, but the next big one was this Pensa Sir, bringing about $630,000. Apparently there were only 2 made like this, and his obviously being the most special. This was kind of a unique one as well. So yeah, unless you had 100 grand burning a hole in your pocket, you probably weren't gonna get much out of this auction. Even like the bottom tier stuff, like this balalaika, 20 grand. K mandolin, 16. Knockoff Gibson replica, 20. And even if you wanted these Chinese-made lap steel guitars, that's at least 14,000 USD. Oh my goodness, I'm surprised over here. Look, that doofy little half bass. that really didn't fetch that much. About $8,000. Maybe it's because it wasn't necessarily him playing it in the photo. Is the whole idea just to make it not as loud? Because it still seems to be about the same size. This thing just boggles my mind, it's strange. And you can visit Christie's website to look through all these and just be flabbergasted, but those were my top picks anyway. But the bidders came on strong, because I had to wake up early just to make sure that I could be here in case I could get something, but there was a whole 2-hour delay as they were fixing some technical difficulties with the online bidding system. But now the biggest question that we're all asking is, who was buying these? What collections are they being put into, private or public? I'm really hoping that it's Jim Irsay who got the money for nothing Les Paul, his iconic Schecters, and maybe some of the Pensas, because he's got his own traveling museum, and they're just completely right up his alley. If he wasn't the winner of that 1983 Les Paul, I don't know who was. So the question I'm getting asked a lot, does this affect the market for regular prehistorics? Are they all worth burst money now? No. This is only because it's associated with a song that's burnt into every dad's mind and anybody who loves classic rock. The Money for Nothing riff is one of the most iconic ones, simply because, it's simple, it's got a unique tone, and it belongs to that specific guitar. The prehistorics are already expensive and have doubled in value since I first started learning about them, and they had already seen a small bump from that anyway. But could this raise awareness and make somebody want something similar? Yeah, but I really don't see this affecting the prices much at all. Because to find an 83 prehistoric on the market, it's kind of rare to begin with. But don't get excited for your 2000s reissues. You can't sell them and buy a house. They're gonna stay right where they are. So for 122 items, they were able to bring in 8.84 million pounds, which is about 11 million USD, which means Mark is able to donate $2.75 million to his 3 charities of choice. And then Christie said they were going to donate an additional $50,000 to each of his charities. So they're each looking at almost a cool $1 million. So those are the results of the Mark Knopfler auction. I think he can be proud of his legacy, moving it on, helping people, and now he's got money to do whatever it is he needs to do. Thank you, Christie's, for helping me get signed up for an account. Hopefully, I can bid on something else in the future that doesn't have crazy superstar status to it. So if nothing else, at least I'm prepared for the next auction. And I was proud to witness history. So please let me know in the comments, what was the most shocking one to you? Did any of my viewers win any of these? And then since we've got some time left tonight, let's check out some guitars over on Reverb. So this caught my attention. I don't know if it was the good or bad way, but it caught my attention. One of the more original years of the Frost Blue Chicago Music Exchange SG. Someone definitely had a madman moment here. I've had them myself. My poor old Epiphone before Sweetwater fixed it. So we got a cream pickup ring, a black pickup ring, red guards, which is strange because this originally came with a tortoiseshell one. We've got something underneath our tailpiece. Cream plastic here, black reflector knobs with the blue colored body, 70s style SG inlays. It's certainly a unique one and only a couple of dollars away from being returned to stock if that's how you really want it. But it does have some dings, so it was well loved and played, so that's all that matters. He's asking $2,100, which seems a bit high, but after coming off the Knopfler auction, everything just seems free. But here is another interesting one, listed as Gibson SG Custom 1971 Walnut. Hit you with the all-original electronics. So let's take a look at it, because this looks awfully strange, right? So first off, somebody's replaced our tailpiece with a TP6-like version. I think that's Schaller's actual one that they made, if I remember correctly, because Gibson actually made the TP6s themselves. Now the harmonica bridge is strange, but it's par for the course in the 70s. We've got dual humbuckers, but what's with an SG standard having dot inlays? Moving on to our headstock, somebody has a Les Paul custom truss rod cover on it, so that's been swabbed. We can tell the tuners have been swapped, but we still have the Gibson mother of pearl logo with the crown, but then again, the dot inlays with the rosewood fretboard. Well, if you swap over to the backside, you can tell everything you need to know. So it is indeed in 1978. There is a model that year known as the SG Special. No, it's not the early 70s SG Special that had the mini humbuckers that people route out all the time that I tell you to look out for with the dot inlays. Typically, you only find them in the black finish. So technically, his description of all original electronics is accurate, but it seems like just about everything else has been replaced in a potential refinish. Although I have seen a few natural ones of these before. And here's kind of an interesting Midtown guitar. We've documented a few of these on the show. I have one in consignment on my shop, but here's a cool natural one. It's listed for $24.50. It's got a 3-piece top. And I had to check, is that common on this model? I've never noticed that before. Maybe it's just the natural Midtown Customs, because here it is, Sweetwater. That exact photo. It's not the same guitar, is it? Best way to figure that out is look at the wood grain. So we've got like a ringy formation and then like a giant check mark over here. Nope, no check mark, can't be the same. But yes, most of those are 2-piecers, so it must be that they used special natural woods for that, which kind of seems to be a clash. But an interesting piece of Gibson history nonetheless. Now, if you're not familiar with these, again, check out the full review and demo. The reason why these are relatively cheap in comparison to other 335s is the fact that they were Gibson USA made instead of Memphis or custom shop. They're chambered rather than being a pressed body and top. Basically a Les Paul in a completely different shape with a flat top. But alright, troglodytes, that's going to wrap it up for tonight. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day. And you might even enjoy this next one.